Hey, what's good with it, folks? It's your boy AG of the BHB. If this is your first time here, welcome to Trailz. To all the rest of y'all, man, I appreciate y'all coming back to see me. Now, what I have for y'all today is another installment of my weekly fragrance rotation. However, as y'all noticed from the title, I went ahead and doubled up this week. I kind of fell behind as I was going in and out of town right before they locked us down here in my city. So I figured I'd go ahead and double up so I can catch up on these rotations. But before we get started, go ahead and do me a favor. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and as soon as the screen pops up, make sure you hit all so that way anytime that I do any reviews, previews, first impressions, top 10s lists, or anything that's fragrance related, you're going to be one of the first ones to know. Now let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, so now with the intro out the way, let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, I'm gonna try to get through these as quickly as possible. So I'm gonna go ahead and start off where we last left off. So that would end up being Wednesday from a couple weeks ago. So that Wednesday, what I ended up going with was Coach for Men. So this one right here was one that I featured on my top 10 spring fragrances of 2020. So if you haven't seen that video yet, make sure you go watch that one after this. Now this one right here opens up with a nice fruity blast of pear, grapefruit, bergamot, kumquat, and some lavender thrown in just to round it all out. So like I said, this right here is a mass appealing fragrance and it worked well for me that day. I was just kind of running around that day, running a few errands and hitting up some of the stores. Of course, this was the week before they had put us on lockdown, so I was actually out and about and it worked great for that. So if you actually like mass appealing fragrances, this one right here is Coach's take on that blue fragrance craze. But I recommend this one, man. Like I said, it's got a good, nice, fruity opening. And this is what I ended up wearing that Wednesday. So Thursday of that week, it had actually gotten warm outside and the humidity had actually kicked up that day. So I wanted to go with something that day that was gonna have me feeling fresh and actually kick through that humidity. So what I ended up going with for that day was Carolina Herrera's 212 Men. This one right here is fresh, slightly green, it's citrusy, slightly spicy, with that ginger kicked in and some pepper. Man, this one right here is good, man. I really like this one right here. And it'll cut through that humidity, man. And I love this magnetic cap on this one, man. It's a nice little accent to this one. So it's great for summer, but you can also use this one in spring. Now at the end of the day, when I have finally made it home and started winding down and I took me a shower, I ended up pulling out Fujiyama Homme by Success de Paris. This is Success de Paris' take on Issey Miyake's L'Eau d'Issey pour Homme. So if you like the Issey Miyake and you want something that's a little bit sweeter, not as spicy, but still keep you fresh after the shower, this one right here is a good one to go to. Only costs you about $10-15. However, it does not last as long as the Issey Miyake. But like I've said before, man, when it comes to these out the shower type fragrances, I don't need them to last that long. I just want something that'll hold me down until I get ready for bed. So on Friday, I actually ended up going to Houston for the quinceañera. So that day was kind of a warm day, slightly breezy, not too hot. So on that day, I wanted to wear L'Homme Idéal Cologne by Guerlain. Now this one right here, guys, like I've told y'all before, this is a lovely scent. This is one of the few gourmand fragrances that I know that actually work great in the summertime. And just like I had said in my top 10 spring fragrances of 2020, this is a discontinued fragrance. However, as of the recording of this video, you can still find this one online for around like $20-25. And you can also pick these up at like Marshall's and TJ Maxx. So if you see this one in the wild, go ahead and pick it up, man. 20 bucks doesn't really hurt your pockets that much. And it's a great fragrance that I doubt that you will not like. But that was my fragrance on that Friday. So on Saturday was the day of the quinceañera. And it wasn't a bad day at all. It actually was a nice weather day. It was slightly warm, but also slightly breezy and slightly cool. So since I wasn't exactly sure where the weather was going to end up that day, I went ahead and went with Giorgio Armani's Aqua di Gio Profumo. Now this is another one that made it onto my top 10 spring fragrances of 2020. Now this right here is a flanker to the original Aqua di Gio. It has been modernized and is very versatile. So you can pretty much use this for any occasion and any season. But I especially love this one though in the summertime and also in the spring. So I ended up wearing this that day and I definitely ended up getting a few compliments, which I wasn't surprised because this is definitely a compliment getter. Now, leading up to this quinceañera, I couldn't figure out which fragrance I wanted to wear. I couldn't figure out between Honor Man by Amage, Reflection Man by Amage, Aqua di Gio's Profumo, or Roja Parfums' Elysium, or Roja Parfums, however you want to pronounce it. So it was coming down to those and I couldn't figure it out. So I actually took it to my Instagram followers to help me figure out which one to wear. All the way leading up to the day of the quinceañera, Aqua di Gio Profumo was actually winning by a landslide. But then right before I actually started getting ready for the quinceañera, Roja Parfums' Elysium actually ended up coming right back up, and it ended up becoming a tie. To y'all who follow me on Instagram and actually saw my story that day, then y'all would have seen that my cousin ended up making the final decision between Roja Parfums' Elysium and Aqua de Gio's Profumo, and she ended up going with Roja Parfums' Elysium. Now this one right here, I'm not understanding how some people actually compare this one to Invictus. To me, I don't get the Invictus vibe. I guess some people smell the vetiver and the black currant that's in this one and the ambergris. I guess they kind of figured that that's kind of an Invictus vibe or something. I don't know. I really couldn't tell y'all why some people actually compare this one to Invictus. To me, man, this right here stands on its own 2 feet, and it's a nice one right here. Man, this is great right here. It's fresh, and I really love the way that this one opens up. Like I said, this one opens up with that vetiver, the juniper berries, the bergamot, the ambergris, the lemon, the lime, the grapefruit. This is awesome, guys. I'm trying to tell you. If you haven't put your nose on this one, I definitely recommend that you try this one. Now, this one right here, I was actually able to pick up from Scentbird. It's like a $15 a month prescription, something like that. Don't quote me on it. I don't remember. But not only don't I like to use Scentbird for like designer type fragrances, but for niche type fragrances, I definitely feel it's worth it, and that's where I ended up getting this one. So if you don't want to buy the expensive full type bottle without putting your nose on it first, I understand. So definitely try this one right here, or get a sample from somewhere else. And it ain't gotta be Scentbird, but definitely put your nose on this one. I recommend this one. I got quite a few compliments that day. So while I was at the quinceañera, I ended up going to go use the restroom. And when I was leaving, one of my cousins actually was coming in. So when he was done, he went to go find me, and he told me like, man, what are you wearing? And that's when I told him that I was wearing the Elysium by Roja Parfums, or Roja Parfums, however you want to pronounce it. He was like, man, that smells really, really good. And I told him, yeah, it smells good. I like, but it's not a cheap fragrance. He's like, man, I'm not surprised, because it actually smells expensive. So it's a good fragrance right here, guys. Like I said, if you don't want to pay the price without smelling it first, definitely go put your nose on it. But I don't think anybody would actually hate this. It's a really nice fragrance, and I definitely recommend it. So on Sunday, as much as I enjoyed being down there in Houston with my friends and my family, I had to go back to work that day, so I had to come back to my city. So on that day, it was actually somewhat of a cool day. Earlier that day in my city, we had gotten some rain, so it was actually kind of cool by the time I ended up going to work. So on that day, I decided to go with Salvatore Ferragamo's Uomo Casual Life. Now, like I had said in my previous video, this is a line that I truly enjoy. The whole Salvatore Ferragamo Uomo line, whether it's the original, signature, or Casual Life. Although I haven't tried Urban Life or Urban Feel, I forgot the name of that one. It's the blue bottle. I haven't tried that one, but so far all the rest of the line I really enjoyed. And this is right here, this is a fresher take on the original Salvatore Ferragamo Uomo. It still has that tiramisu vibe as the original Salvatore Ferragamo Uomo, but it's freshened up by the ambroxan, the lemon, and the violet leaf that's in this one. So I definitely love this one. I am a fan of violet leaf. I haven't smelled the fragrance with violet leaves that I don't like yet. So since I like the original Salvatore Ferragamo Uomo, and this one's a freshened up version of it with violet leaf, this one smells great to me, guys. So I definitely recommend this one if you haven't tried it. You can pick this up for around like, I don't know, I think I picked it up for around like 30-40 bucks, something like that, at like Marshall's or TJ Maxx. And you can find this one online at discounters for cheap as well. So if you like the original Salvatore Ferragamo Uomo and you want a fresher version of that, can't beat this one right here. This one smells pretty good, so I recommend this one. So at the end of my workday, when I finally made it home and took me a shower, I ended up going with Nauticus Aqua Rush. This is one that I actually didn't think I was gonna like at first. I ended up going to Ross one day, and I had seen some Nautica fragrances. I had ran across some that I was thinking about getting, but when I had seen the reviews on this one, I had seen some bad reviews. So I was like, I don't know if I want to pull the trigger on that one. I mean, even though it's cheap, I wasn't sure. So since I wasn't exactly sure which Nautica fragrances I wanted to pick up, or if I even wanted to get them, I ended up hitting up Ross over at TLTG Reviews. Now, if you've never been to his channel, I'll go ahead and put a link down in the description. That way y'all can go check out his channel. He does great reviews over there. And for those of y'all that follow him, y'all know that he is in love with the Nautica line. If I remember correctly, I think he has all the Nautica line. If not, he's like missing a few, but he pretty much has a lot of those. So I figured, who better person than to hit up and find out about these fragrances? So since the one I was really worried about was that Aqua Rush, I hit him up and I asked him how he ranked it. And it was one that he actually ranked pretty high. So after I talked to him, I was like, well, I guess I'll go back into the store and I'll go ahead and pick this one up. And trust me, man, it was not one that I was disappointed with. This is a very good, fresh out the shower type smell. It doesn't last very long and it's very nice. Yeah, it's somewhat synthetic, but man, forget all that. It still has a great smell. And as cheap as you can find these for, this is a good bet right here for just lounging around the house. So on Monday was another work day for me, and at my job, some weeks tend to be where I'm getting dirty and hot and sweaty, and then on other weeks tends to be a lot more laid back, and I tend to be in front of a computer a lot more. So on those type of weeks, I actually tend to dress up a little more, you know, polo shirt, looking nice. So on that day, I ended up going with Prada Le Parfum by Prada. This is a nice, clean iris-based scent, and it's one that I definitely enjoy. It kind of smells like a nice fabric softener to me. And not in a bad way, mind you. This one actually has you smelling very nice, very clean, professional. Like when you smell this one actually has you smelling clean, nice, lasts a long time, and it definitely does not smell like a cheap fragrance. This one right here works great if you work indoors. You can wear this casually, but I actually feel this works better as a work fragrance. And you can wear this, you know, in a polo shirt, or you can wear this in a suit and tie. It's gonna definitely fit the bill regardless. And it's a great smelling scent right here, and it'll have you smelling clean for over 12 hours max. At least on my skin, this is a 12+ hour work fragrance. So I definitely recommend this one. It'll have you smelling nice and clean, and like your clothes came straight out of a laundromat with like some nice rich fabric softener. So you can wear this casual or with business attire, but it's definitely a nice work scent to me. So at the end of my work day, when I had finally made it home, I ended up busting out Thierry Mugler's Cologne. Now, normally when I take a shower and I bust out a fragrance, I normally like to use one that doesn't last very long. One that'll just hold me over until I go to bed and have me feeling fresh and clean. But this one right here is actually a long-lasting fragrance. Now, this one right here actually smells like a nice, fresh, clean bar of soap. So apparently the story goes that Thierry Mugler ended up going to Morocco, and he ended up falling in love with a bar of soap that he found over there, and he wanted to create a fragrance that recreated that smell. So he got with Alberto Morillas, who ended up creating this fragrance right here. But this is a very nice smelling, clean, fresh scent. Definitely smells fresh out the shower, but it's a long lasting one. So this will have you smelling clean all day. The only thing I could say is if you don't like the note of neroli, then this is probably not gonna be one for you, because the neroli note definitely stands out in this one, but this is a nice, fresh, clean bar of soap smell. So if you're gonna be walking around with casual clothes on and you wanna just be smelling clean, fresh out the shower, nobody's gonna hate on this one. It's good for spring and it's good for summer, and I can't think of anybody who would hate this fragrance right here unless you just don't like neroli. But other than that, it's a nice fragrance right here. I was definitely missing the scent of this one, so I figured I'd bust it out and wear it. So Tuesday of last week was another work day for me, and I ended up going with Dolce Gabbana's The One Gray. Now this one right here is one that tends to get hate from people who are huge fans of the original Dolce Gabbana The One. But I don't know, guys, to me, once you get past the fresh, green, spicy opening on this one, to me it does start to smell like Dolce Gabbana's The One. You do start to pick up some of the notes of the tobacco, the cardamom, the grapefruit, although the grapefruit's a little bit more kicked up, but you still get that Dolce Gabbana The One DNA. This was great for that day. It was a little warm, but still slightly cool outside. So if you like vetiver and you definitely like that fresh, spicy green type fragrance, then I definitely recommend this one. Like I said, you still pick up that DNA in here. So this one works great for me for spring. So either get your nose on this one or go to Marshall's or TJ Maxx, and you can pick this up for fairly cheap, and I don't think that it's a bad blind buy. So last Wednesday, it was another day of me running around doing errands and hitting up a few stores. Of course, this is prior to my city pretty much putting us on shutdown with the shelter in place ruling that they got going on. So what I ended up going with that day was the Mercedes-Benz EDT. I only had the Intense version at first, and it was one that I really love, especially when it tends to rain. Now the Mercedes-Benz Intense, that one actually smells like Fahrenheit by Christian Dior. So this one right here smells like a more fresher take on that one. I guess you could say somewhat like Fahrenheit Aqua. Other people compare this one to Fahrenheit Cologne. Definitely for sure, this one smells like a fresher take on the Fahrenheit DNA, but not as leathery and without that gasoline type vibe. But this one here, love this one right here, guys. This one came well recommended by Ross over at TLTG Reviews, so I was not disappointed when I picked this one up. Now on Thursday of that week, I can't quite remember what I ended up doing that day, but what I do remember is, only because I wrote it down, but I ended up going with another Roja Parfums fragrance, although this time I went with Scandal. For some reason I couldn't find it as I was getting ready to record this one, but it's in another travel spray like this one. And that one right there has a nice opening of moss, lavender, lemon, bergamot, basil. I can't remember all the notes that's in the opening, but it all blends well with the spiciness of the cloves. And then in the mids, once you start heading toward the base, it start to pick up some of the flowery type notes that are on there. I mean, it's just a nice, great scent right there. If you haven't tried it, man, go ahead and put your nose on it. But it ended up working great for that day. It was a nice, cool day with the sun outside, so it worked great for me. It lasts a long time, has very good projections. So if you don't want to blind buy this fragrance, because it is a little bit expensive, I definitely recommend that you at least get you a sample or do like me and get you a travel spray. So on Friday, I really didn't do much that day. I pretty much just stayed at home. I mean, we've kind of been practicing already that social distancing at that point, but I did step out for a little bit to go get us something to eat. and it was actually a rainy type day. So I still wanted to wear my fragrances even though I was pretty much just chilling at home. But since it was a rainy type day, I wanted to go with something that would go well for that day. Now, I don't know what it is, but this one right here, Tasmin by Ozzie, this one right here just happens to smell really good on a rainy day. This one smells good with the notes of vanilla, rose, cumin, cardamom, patchouli. Like, it just, oh man. Like, I wish I could smell this one from here, man. But this has a very, very nice scent right here. Like, it just smells so damn good. And the bottle, man, the bottle actually looks pretty nice to me. Or at least to me, I think it looks nice. To some, it might actually seem kind of tacky to them, but it's a nice fragrance to smell at that. So I definitely recommend for y'all to check this one out. And that's what I ended up wearing on Friday. So on Saturday, it was another stay-at-home day for me. Pretty much from here moving forward to the unforeseeable future, they're pretty much all going to be stay-at-home type days. Because right now, in the days of social distancing, we're doing our part to help flatten that curve. But regardless of that, it's not going to stop me from wearing my fragrances. I still love wearing my fragrances. So on that day, it was another rainy day, and we did go outside to the backyard or whatever, just so we wouldn't be cooped up inside the whole time. And since it had been somewhat of a wet day, I ended up going with Bleecker Street by Bond No. 9. Now this one here is probably the top favorite from Bond No. 9. It's like its most popular fragrance as far as I'm concerned. It's the one that I always hear about. And it's a very awesome fragrance right here. Another one that works great for a rainy day. Now this one right here opens up with oak moss, blueberries, and violet leaves. And y'all know I love violet leaves. And once you hit the mid and the base, it also has standout notes of suede, jasmine, cedar. I mean, there's more notes in there than that, but those are the ones that really just kind of stand out to me. So definitely one that works great for spring, but I also love this one when it rains. Now again, if you don't want to blind buy and spend a high price tag on this Bond No. 9, although it's not as expensive as some niche fragrances that are out there, you know, it's still on the pricier side, so I do understand, but I at least recommend that you put your nose on this one. Get you a sample or a decant or a travel spray of this one so that way you can smell it and see how great this is so that you can pick this one up. Now I know in this video I picked up a few fragrances from Scentbird, but I am not sponsored by Scentbird. These are all my own opinions. I'm just telling you where I went to pick mine up, but get yours from wherever you want. Don't have to be Scentbird, but definitely make sure you get your nose on this one. All right, so Sunday, guys, it was back to work for me. Now that day it was warm, not too hot, but still slightly warm and a little breezy. So on that day I ended up going with Invictus by Paco Rabanne. Now I know some of y'all who are familiar with this one are probably thinking, what are you doing wearing this at work? Well, let me explain myself. I normally don't wear this thing to work because those of us that know about this fragrance know that it's a very powerhouse, beastly, loud performing fragrance. So you put some sprays on this one and you will definitely get noticed, no problem. A lot of people actually use this as a club or a bar type fragrance because it is that loud, and this will cut through all the smells that are in there. So this is not normally one that you would want to use to work, but let me explain. So at my job, unfortunately, a lot of people have been sent home. There's not as many people running around at my job like there normally is, and everybody's definitely practicing social distancing. So we're keeping at bay from anywhere between 3 to 6 feet. And honestly, I forget the 3 feet. I'm trying to stay 6 feet away from people. So if I want people to be able to smell my fragrance, this one comes in handy. I figured it'll definitely get to reach out so that somebody else could smell this on me. So that was my way of thinking when I wore this that day. But if you don't like those bubblegummy type aquatic scents, then this is definitely not going to be for you. But it's definitely one that I enjoy, especially around the springtime. So at the end of my work day, when I finally made it home and ended up taking a shower, I ended up busting out the Kenneth Cole Reaction. Now this is another fragrance right here that doesn't last very long, and it's a very citrusy type scent. And I really like this one for when I get out the shower. Now this one right here opens up with apple, melon, watermelon, lemon, lime. Like, it's a very citrusy type smell. Like, I really like this one. And then as it starts to die down, it has patchouli, musk, and sandalwood. So it's not one that starts out fresh and remains fresh, but it was still one that doesn't last very long. But it is one that I really enjoy that smells citrusy and nice in the very beginning, and I enjoy smelling this one right out the shower. This is another one that's very cheap, doesn't last very long, but smells great, and it works great if you're going to be wearing it around the house or just wearing it casually. You know, this definitely works great for that. So on Monday was another work day for me, and I ended up going with Salvatore Ferragamo's Aqua Essencial Blue. Now this one right here is another mass appealing blue fragrance. But to me, this one right here is a little different than most, at least to me anyways, because a lot of times your blue fragrances, they tend to open up fresh and a lot of times still maintain somewhat of its freshness all the way through the lifespan of the fragrance. But this one right here, it does smell fresh, but at the same time it smells kind of creamy. This one here has lemon, bergamot, ambroxan, tonka bean, lavender. I mean, it's just a nice rounded fragrance. So to me, this is somewhat along the same lines of like Bleu de Chanel. Not that this is a clone of Bleu de Chanel, but to me, it gives me that type of a vibe. This is not very expensive. You can find this one for cheap at online discounters or at TJ Maxx or Marshalls. So this is definitely a good cheapie to pick up for spring. So at the end of my work day, when I finally made it home and took a shower, I ended up going with Jaguar Pace. Now the easiest, quickest, and best way to describe this one is the way that it's been described before by other reviewers, and that's that this is a shower gel type fragrance with a bit of pepper. Now this one here is another one that's not very long lasting. You get maybe about 4 to 5 hours on this one. You can definitely use this one to wear casually, to run out and about, you know, take care of some errands. This is the one that have you smelling like you're fresh out the shower because it has that shower fresh type smell to it. On Tuesday, my last day of the work week for me, I ended up going with Polo Blue Eau de Parfum. Now this one here is a collector's edition. This one right here may look a little different to y'all if y'all own the original Polo Blue Eau de Parfum. From my understanding, this is not that much different from that one. It's just got a nice collector's edition bottle. Now that day was kind of a hot day. That was kind of like the beginning of this whole hot week that we done been having. So like I told y'all before, I live in Texas, and a lot of times we tend to have a lot of hot days. So this whole week we've kind of been reaching into the 90s already, and we're not even in summer. And a lot of times when a fragrance company puts out an eau de parfum of a fragrance that they already have out, a lot of times it tends to be a better performer. But I also notice that a lot of times it kind of sweetens up or is not as fresh as the original. But this one here does not fall into that type of category. For some reason, to me, this one here starts out fresh, and as it starts to die down, it's like it gets even fresher. So I definitely wanted to wear this one since it was a hot day. And I'm glad I did, because I was actually out and about in between buildings at my job. And so it was kind of warm outside as I was moving stuff to and fro. So as my body heat started to rise up, this here started smelling fresher, and it made me feel good. This is one that I recommend for the summer months, but even in spring when you start having those hot type days, this is definitely one that'll work. So this here opens up with C notes, bergamot, suede, and of course one of my favorite spring notes, vetiver. And once it starts to dry down, you do start to get somewhat of the woodsy type notes in there as well. So it does smell a little woody, but to me, man, this one stays fresh all the way into the end, even with the woodsy notes that you get in the dry down. So this is definitely one that I recommend, guys. So that's it, guys. That was my weekly fragrance rotation. Actually, for 2 weeks, right? Because I doubled it up. But anyways, that's the end of my weekly fragrance rotation video. So if you ended up liking this video, you found anything in here informative, man, go ahead and give me a like, man. Go ahead and give me that thumbs up. So like I said before, man, go ahead and hit subscribe, hit the bell, and when the screen comes up, make sure you hit all. So like I said, anytime I do any previews, reviews, top 10 lists, first impressions, anything that's fragrance related, you're gonna be one of the first ones to know. See y'all on the next one. I appreciate y'all stopping by to see me.